I got a boat that my older sister had to sail, and that boat was sitting idle, so I started sailing with myself and with some other neighbor kids at Gull Lake in southern Michigan. It was a developing class in southern Michigan at the time, and some of the early folks around the lake, younger people at the time, anywhere from 15 to 25 years old, were getting to sail the boat, and it was an easy boat to sail, easy to maintain, and in my case, it was available in the family. It was just sitting there, so I started sailing it. I suppose my moment was the first, what I thought at the time was a major regatta, and that was the Michigan State Snipe Championship, and that was 1955. And I would say that was probably one of the most exciting athletic things that I've ever won. There's a lot of other came out here. We sailed here in 56. And that was great. I won the Wells in that year. I didn't qualify for the Gold Fleet, but I did win the Wells here in Alamitos Bay, 1956. In 1956, bought a fiberglass wood deck boat from Bodvit, and then finished it myself, which did include the Verily mast boom rudder, and kind of put the thing together myself, and that was the boat that I sailed. Well, I think so in those days, particularly if you were from the West Coast, but certainly even in Gull Lake in Michigan, that those were the boats, and you get yourself a Verily Snipe and a set of Kenny Watts sails, and you could be competitive and win the Nationals with that combination. Now, there was other boats as well, but certainly from that middle 50s, well, the entire 50s, in my view, Verily was the standard of a racing snipe. I first met Ted, I think, right here in Alamitos Bay in 1956, at Lou, I should say, and Ted sailed with him. I can remember Ted. I remember talking to Ted. I didn't know him well, but Lou was an icon. When you're a kid from the Midwest and you go out and meet Lou Verily and Kenny Watts and hear about some of these things, I mean, this was truly Hollywood stuff. And he was definitely an icon, and one that anytime you could sit down and talk to him, you'd soak up anything that was laid out there that might be helpful to you to race the snipe. Yeah. And Freddie, again, talking about icons, here's this little guy who was real noisy, had this horn he'd run around with and talking loud and going out, but what would always get your attention, he'd go out and knock your socks off on the race course. This guy could sail. And again, I do have a story on Freddie at Peoria, the year he won. I was there and 18, 19 years old. And he looked at me and he said, "You ought to be doing better than you're doing. I don't know what's wrong with you." He said there was going to be a practice race, and I think Gene Skank didn't do practice races. And so at any rate, Freddie said, "I'm sailing with you." And we went out on there and it got started. And I remember it was kind of a light to medium air, and I had a little jam cleat in my boat, and I cleated the main sheet. He said, "What'd you do?" I said, "I cleated the main sheet." "Why'd you do that?" He said, "No wonder you can't win. You cleated the main." He said, the boat moves, the wind moves. What are you doing cleating your mainsail?" And he railed on me the entire weather leg. Then we went around there, and I got relaxed again going downwind. And like I don't remember, maybe I was going to have lunch. And he got on me again and said, "This is where you pass boats. You don't just coast downwind." Well, long and the short of that, I qualified for the Heinzerling that year. The only time I ever did, I think, after my session with Freddie. So it did some good. It did some good. Yeah, I knew Freddie.